What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. Firstly, I want to have a conversation about Dr. Umar Johnson's appearance on The Breakfast Club, and I have not seen all of it, but I will watch it and do a response to it, right? I do want to deal with one aspect of what he was talking about when it comes to brother Deion Sanders. And that is because Deion Sanders left Jackson State. He wants to give Deion Sanders 50,000 lashes. I'm going to go ahead and play a small clip of that and then I'll come back.
Let me ask you a question. If you are fighting a war, I gave Deion 50,000 lashes on the Breakfast Club today.
So, I want to kind of deal with this here if I can, brothers and sisters here. Number one, I'm going to do a separate video about Umar on the Breakfast Club, but I want to talk about what happens in the black world. It's not uncommon in the African American community. It's not uncommon in Africa with your one party states and autocrat behavior. And that is because you do something that I don't like you to do. You deserve to be beat. You deserve to be stoned. That's kind of how you hear some of the brothers in the pro-black community. Every time that somebody does something that they don't like, you will hear a lot of the pro-blacks. Some of the brothers talking about, if I was the president, I would execute such and such. And then when you look at them and you look at themselves, what are we finding? We're finding that if Deion deserves 50,000 lashes for actually producing Dr. Umar, since you want to make it personal, the question is, what do you deserve for doing nothing? After begging, hit the Cash App, demanding folks give you money, being a blubber of nothing, you are the least productive person in the black world with a voice. You can't get anything done. You're a disgrace to our people as far as your productivity. You're a great intellectual thinker, but that's all you bring is ideas. You don't do anything, and you have the unmitigated gall to talk about somebody who actually brings resources to the community. Let me just say this. Every time somebody in the black world posed to do something for the love, for the free, right? I get that. But Dr. Umar, if that's the case, don't you got a fee when you want to do something? That's his whole remarks. You supposed to do it for the love of the people. But Dr. Umar, why you always talking about hitting the Cash App all the time then? Huh? When you go onto the Breakfast Club, you only give that for publicity. But whenever you go someplace, you ain't doing it for the free, bro. You charging folk. When you selling your books, your merchandise. Dr. Umar is a for-profit dictator. You're an autocrat. People who think like you. God forbid you had an African state. Okay? Who would you become? Ayadema in Togo? That would be you, right? Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana? That's going to be you. You are a typical autocrat. And God, and thanks be to God that you wasn't born in some African nation. You'd be like Charles Taylor. You would be the person that steals from the government. And you'd be living some nice lavish life while people will be dying and you would be overthrown. Working with them same people you talking about that you hate, which is the white folks. God, thanks be to God that somebody with your charisma was not born in Africa, because you would be an African leader and a corrupt one. You're in America and you're corrupt. And the most corrupt people have the unmitigated gall to talk about folks who are actually doing something. Now, let's talk about Jackson State and their lack of vision. Here's another thing I want to talk about. When you're dealing in the black world, you're supposed to put up with black people all the time. And that's a big thinking pattern in Black American Africa. I was talking to one of my colleagues one day. Well, and they told me, well, that's just Africa. That's how it is. But if you're dealing with people who don't have no vision in the black community, people who are corrupt, people who are rife in corruption, well, that's just the black world. You're supposed to stick with your people regardless of what. Is that right? Because if you're the one that's bringing the resources and sticking with people, then the person who's corrupt is benefiting from that. You're supposed to just be quiet and let them use you, right? That's what Umar wants. Everybody else is supposed to serve him, or the Jackson State administration who is corrupt. And how dare you go out and stop dealing with people who are lying, cheating, and stealing? And again, I understand ownership in the black world. We're dealing with our people. Our people gonna be corrupt. Some of them. Our people gonna be, some of them are gonna have low morality. But we gotta develop our people and let them see the value of why they shouldn't do that. That's gonna happen in African countries. It's gonna happen in America. But Dr. Umar ain't gonna be the one to fix it. And Dr. Umar really gotta start to shut his mouth. And people like Dr. Umar have to be called out. And I'm gonna tell you why. You say you a leader. You're the prince of Pan-Africanism. You're the prince of Dustyism. You have never done nothing for people that is tangible we can see. You don't bring no resources to black America. You extract them. You go and do dusty ass lectures. That you do very well. You have a lot of thought processes, but to give somebody some lashes because they left, because they don't want to deal with, I'm gonna say it, dusty people like you in the black world. What? And I'm a pro-black. I'm a strong Pan-Africanist. But I've been in spots, in places where things are rife in corruption. And you know what? You're supposed to just deal with it. Let me just tell you this, in black Americans, I'm gonna give you an example. In the 80s and 90s, in the late 80s, early 80s, African-American leadership was very big on helping the ANC get rid of the Boers, okay, and that racist government. Apartheid, which was very similar to Jim Crow. Black Americans did that. Once the ANC took control and start having some of the same oppressive regimes, not as bad though. Hey, black Americans, we out of that. Well, listen, we're not gonna call our brothers out in South Africa for being repressive. We're not gonna call them out for being corrupt, because the same people who brought South Africa into its independence didn't have the talent to run the state. Deion got the talent to run the athletic division, bring in resources. People like Deion Sanders don't. And the thing about it is this, that we're supposed to be like the old 90s African Americans. Whenever corruption in Africa is happening, we don't say anything about it as long as the white folks ain't doing it. We cool. That's what it is in the black world. We're not supposed to say nothing about it. We're supposed to just deal with it. That's how it is. But now when you don't want to deal with it, now you're a sellout. It's wrong. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode here. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe to the bell. We're out.